Well, hello there, everybody. Yep, I'm about 20 seconds ahead of myself, but hey, you're hearing me when I'm 30 seconds already behind. So there we go. I love time and I love how we can easily move through it. It's fluid. So, how are y'all doing? Thank you for tuning in. It's Prosperity Monday. That's all I got to say. So, wear it, own it, and you know, if you don't have what you want, that's okay. Just continue to put it out there. It'll come, you know, every day in every way. Good things are always coming my way. Kind of simple, isn't it? That's like speaking favor over everybody. So, hey, speaking of which, favor everybody. How y'all doing? Brian, 1955, how you doing? Biz Nugs, how are you? Heidi, much love to you, my dear. Good to see you. Peter, hello. Joyce, Brandon, how are you, my brother? Yeah, a little rough times in that market, isn't it? It's all right. It's like anything else. It ebbs and it flows, and it's going to be all right. Much love to you, brother. David Castle, how are you? And Rufus, good to see you. Beloved Abstract, much love to you, man. Lost in Space and Bernadette, good to see you. Chloe, Pearl, good to see you, dear. Kim, hello. Andrew, what's up? Hope, good to see you. Go, good to see you as well. So, hey, we got the Bosto thing going everywhere. If it's your birthday, hey, enjoy it. Got one coming up myself, Sunday. Yeah. So there you go. Another wonderful year around this star. Wow. Pretty cool. Hey, Gabriel, what's up? Good to see you. Loretta, how you doing, darling? Joyce, good to see you. Robert V in the house. Good to see you, brother. Liking your shows. What else is going on? Love the pinned message. Yeah, how about that for an attitude? You got doubts, man. Just kind of remember the first Rocky. Just picture yourself in one corner and your doubts are on the other corner looking at you, doubting every damn thing you do. I mean, and rubbing your face in it on top of it. And here you are going, man, I ain't going to accept that old way of thinking. Not going to do it. Nope, 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 nope. And you've got to begin to say, all right, I've sized my doubts up, and you know what? I can kick their ass. And so I'm going to give them one warning, because I said the next thing you're going to hear is yourself being knocked out. Doubts, I'm about to put a can of whoop ass all over you. You go out that way, I'll guarantee your doubts will suddenly turn around and they'll be your biggest cheerleader going, oh, yeah, you can do anything you want. And we can. So what else is happening? Who else is all out there? Don, good to see you. And I tell you what, I really, this is one of the true pleasures that I can look forward to, is coming together while we can here each day. Couple of weeks, in fact, 2 weeks from today, I won't be on because I will be out of town, but we'll talk more about that when it gets closer, huh? I want to give a shout out to Southern Prepper One. If you don't know his channel, go over there and listen and subscribe. The guy reminds me of, I'm thinking some of air personalities I've known in my time. And this is real-time information. And if you want to know the true state of things, that's a pretty good barometer measuring it. So check him out. He has a thing he puts out each day called Boots on the Ground. Because I don't know about you, I'm going to get right into this because there is something's not right. This has been bugging me. Y'all ever see the movie Mad World Remember the gal's son, says, man, you're bugging me, man. You're bugging me, man. Oh, this has been bugging me, man. Something ain't right. And it can really begin to jack with your perception of what you define reality to be. Now, it's different for all of us, but yet we're all immersed into the same washing machine. We may be our own independent piece of laundry, but we're all in the washing machine together, which means that, you can be a sock and another person can be a pair of pants. Individuality? Absolutely. Immersed in the same? Yeah, I think so. Marie, how are you doing? Eyes to see. Good to see you, my dear. Shirley, how are you? Elderberry, what's up? Good to see you, dear. I might only be a sock. Joyce, love you, dear. Love that. So this is what's the problem. And I'll show you in a simple graphic display. This. Now, you might say, well, this is pretty innocuous. Help wanted. What's the big deal? Well, if you're not aware, then it would be no big deal. In fact, it would look like the proper decor. No big deal. But actually, it's a huge big deal. And it has become such a big deal that it is now impacting all of our lives. Wife and I, we went out, and because this was bugging me. It was bugging me. And I wanted to see for myself. I wanted to talk to people myself and find out just what the fuck is going on here. Because something ain't right. I mean, something is not right. And yes, I did the F-bomb, but let me get out of this. It's well warranted. So I went out blazingly hot and began to see for myself fast food restaurants, grocery stores, clothing stores, sit-down restaurants. We took a little trip up into the mountains. Everywhere we went, help wanted. Everywhere. Talked to some proprietors, entrepreneurs who have their own businesses, their own restaurants, particularly up in some of the mountain towns, and then subsequently where I live. It's densely populated and, everywhere. And I have been hearing about stores closing, reducing hours. Some that's outright closing days out of the week, 1-2 days out of the week, because they cannot find help. Talk to one store owner, and he said, I just give up on it. I said, because I was thinking that he didn't have a help wanted sign, right? Said, doesn't do any good. Had one up for over a year. Began to talk to some of the grocery chains, national chains. Had a chance to speak to some of the weekend managers. Their story, it would almost be as if I was hearing a script, like they were robots. I asked the question, And apparently I asked the right question because the answer was the same. Critically short of help. Now, this doesn't make sense because the problem is this. We're not seeing that reflected in the statistics of the Labor Bureau statistics. We're also not seeing the subsequent pull on the social net, the safety net, unemployment insurance, food stamps, WIC, what they call that here in this country. Many states have that. And the weird thing is we're not seeing those roles growing. They're contrasting, but they're not contrasting because of what you may think. They've made the eligibility much higher and have changed it. And then it gets down to this thing that makes it even stranger, is that there seems to be, and I asked this very question of a number of people this weekend. I said, do you think that there's less people? One gentleman up in the mountain town said, I'd never thought about that. But he says, mister, you may be onto something. He said, our foot traffic is down. So I began to think about this, and now see, Cheryl, that's interesting because here it is, and you can go to any fast food. Read in Los Angeles that Jack in a Box is paying, or they have the help wanted. They can't find people to take the job. Get this, $21 to $25 an hour. What? And they can't find people that will take the jobs. This is weird. So it got me to thinking, okay, that, Kim, you are absolutely spot on. Thank you. Hey, Nick, how you doing? Good to see you. People can't afford rent. They left the state. Now, Nick, you kind of gave the perfect segue to my next point. Missing people. The circumstantial evidence is suggesting there's fewer people. Now, I know this sounds a little bit odd, but Lynn and I were talking, and it was interesting. I said, well, honey, in the last year of people who you knew and worked with and what have you, I said, have you contacted any of those people? And she said, no. Well, she is doing it now. And she said that it was interesting, just came down before I went live, that she said, there's one, no one knows what happened to her. So what do you mean no one knows what happened to her? She says, no one knows. Now, folks, follow me on this because there's something here. If we have this huge demand for workers, but yet we're hearing businesses reducing hours, cutting back people. I read this weekend in the Journal, there is some major layoffs coming. There's just stuff that's just, we could get into that is going to make an economic, it's not going to be pretty. But let's stay on topic here. People. There seems to be less people. Know Thyself says, I see the plan on your whiteboard. Look into Operation Trust. There's only one trust I have. You know, that's inside of me. That's the only one I trust. I don't trust gods. I don't trust any other thing. I trust myself, looking in within myself. My point to know thyself is to know thyself. If it's another truth, then it's somebody else's truth. It's not my own. Anyway, we digress. So it's interesting. I hear I'm trying to watch the road. Sorry, Gilbert. I know you're in the back of the bus. Lucky Smith, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you, Truth Seeker. T. Witten, good to see you. Danny, how are you doing? How's the baby? Project Skyfall, what's up, Mad Cow? Good to see you. Yeah, you see, so this got me going into some research when we got back, and I wanted to really look into this. And I said, okay, so how many of us ever look into, do you know how many people die a day? I mean, it's interesting because different countries, how they count this. And you know, it all comes back to that banknote that was issued the day you came into this realm. We're going to get more into that this week as well. Most likely, maybe tomorrow with Trina. But yeah. But so I went in and I said, okay, let's just start seeing what is really out there. So I went out and I said, all right, here's a question. Which state has the most missing persons? Think about it. And oddly enough, yeah, there are certain states where more people seem to disappear. And the one that I found odd, well, I don't know if it's odd, but it was odd to me, was Alaska. Alaska has more missing persons. They just gone. No record of them. Now it's, of course, vast wilderness up there. So maybe a lot of them became bear food. I don't know. But anyway, and it's interesting. And depending on where you get the statistics as to how recently they've been updated, there's just some interesting thing about missing people. Do you know you could most likely go missing and the government ain't going to do a thing about it? They may end up having a funeral service for you, but it's going to be an empty box. In fact, I was really surprised because back in my past, I was a licensed insurance broker, and I sold death policies. Anyway, that's another story for another time. So this is interesting. The missing person is defined as anyone whose whereabouts is unknown, whatever the circumstance of disappearance. They can be considered a lost person. Isn't that a wonderful title? Well, how are you doing? What tell us about, excuse me, I'm a lost person. Someone who has voluntarily gone missing. Now, that's an interesting subtopic because it appears that there are a vast amount of people who voluntarily go missing. And unfortunately, sometimes it's against their will. Yeah. And someone, of course, where nefarious circumstances, foul play. So here's some interesting statistics. Of the 15,270 people currently missing in the United States, and that number is low because I'm going to show you other statistics that go, what? But here's interesting, 60% male, 40% female. The average age of people when they go missing is around 34. That's interesting. As of January 2019, there were 106 children currently missing who were younger than a year old when they went missing. Now, that number is, I don't know where they got it, because we're going to look at another number that's, yikes. Again, Alaska has the most missing persons per capita with 41.8 people missing per 100,000 population. Massachusetts has the least missing persons per capita with 1.8 people missing per 100,000 of the population. I always love statistics, and lucky I know that you're listening. I saw you in the chat room. You know, it's always the one. So identify me, how does a person become a 1/10 of a person or an 8/10 of a person? How does that work out? It says, however, California has the most missing persons in total with 2,133 people missing. Rhode Island has the least with 20 people missing. But there's missing people everywhere. The cities with the most missing people total include Los Angeles, 189, Phoenix, 170, Houston, 165, San Francisco, 163, Detroit, 150. And you can see that these numbers were as of 2019, January. Here's the thing. Dean Koontz has written on it, and a lot of people have written on it. There is this alarming non-statistic. Some say that the homeless camps, the reason why they're being allowed, and they're growing everywhere, the one thing that the authorities are really not going to care, once you become classified homeless, you're basically a non-statistic. You're a non-person. So if there is an organization that harvests body organs, very lucrative business, body organs, and you need a ready supply. Let's continue. Keeps getting more interesting. So in this website, this is worldpopulationreview.com. You can come in here on any platform and any state, and you can hit like Texas. Texas tells right now, they have 1,246 official. Now, there's a difference between official and unofficial. Unofficial, that number in Texas could be 112,000. But because the government doesn't recognize the classification or the non-person, they won't be counted. Same thing with unemployment. I mean, it's weird. Florida has 1,252 right now. Again, those are the official numbers. Here's the thing. Because of the critical shortage, every police department apparently, and I'm called up to find this out myself this morning, son of a gun, it's correct. Every police department in the United States is short-staffed. That includes EMS. That includes medical, nurses, doctors. It goes on, but I digress. So you can go in again to anyone, Oklahoma, 252, Wisconsin, 149. I mean, here we are in Alaska, 309. So in Alaska right now, they have less missing people than they do, let's say, in state of Missouri, Kentucky, Ohio. And it's interesting because, folks, these are people. They had memories. They had things they cherished, loved ones. And now they're gone. And as I've been looking into this, once you're on the gone list, almost sounds like I said the gong list, but you know, that is such an appropriate Freudian slip, isn't it? Yeah, because you're gone. Maybe your family, but what I find is the coldness of many people now, the families just give up. Eventually, the memory begins to fade. The emotional connection, well, when invoked, it's there, but eventually the memory fades. Okay. Now think about this. If you were in the business of human trafficking, child trafficking, sex trafficking, human exploitation happens all over the world. Is anyone going to check your ID? Anyone going to hear your story? Does anyone care to hear your story? And folks, this is fed year after year after year. It's almost as if we've been conditioned to say, oh, what a shame. Kind of like a Seinfeld episode. What a shame. You know, what's for lunch? I mean, that's how cavalier we've become in this. So continuing, this site here is the Black and Missing Incorporated. Right now, their number is 543,018 missing people currently on the books. They divide this out by ethnicity, but it's very interesting because here's the thing. There are more non-blacks that go missing than blacks. Interesting statistic. I mean, I did not know this. And again, there are those who are aware of something and they're trying, and I give them 5-5 for their endeavor. And you know, even if you look at the census.gov, they're lagging. And it's interesting. You know why they're lagging? A lack of help. I mean, the IRS, it's, you know, huge benefits, government benefits. You get in on a government job like that, I mean, you're in for life. They can't fire you. So continuing on. Now, here is something I recently saw a video, a couple of them, about national parks. Now, in countries like Japan, and particularly Japan, because this apparently is a place where people go who, well, you go into the woods, you don't come back out. But this is something I found interesting. Do you know that the United States National Park Service does not directly collect data on how many visitors disappear in the wilderness or backcountry in their parks? So, to be honest, you can't say, well, there's these X amount of people. That's extraneous data that's been extrapolated from another third-party source, not apparently from the U.S. national parks. But it goes on and says, neither the Department of Interior, which oversees the National Park Service, nor the Department of Agriculture's U.S. Forest Service keeps track of these numbers. Now it says, however, there's the interesting thing, the National Park Service search and rescue dashboard gives an indication of the number of incidences where the search and rescue operations occurred and where no one was located in a particular incident. Now, this has got just, maybe there is something that's going on. I mean, you think about it. Let's say you're ET and you need human DNA. Well, you have the homeless camps that would allow you just to harvest. In fact, getting into kind of one of the extremes, they are saying that vampirism is alive and well in America, North America, and that it is well known in certain occult circles that homeless camps are really feeding camps. And it's just not the ones that feed on supposedly the blood. It gets really bizarre and dark when you start really looking into this issue of what these homeless camps in every city, spreading into every community. And you got to say something, what? Getting back to the National Park Service. So the number seemed low to me. I mean, 3,453 reported search and rescue missions and 182 deaths. Okay. But here's the real shocker. The National Missing and Unidentified Persons System has said that more than 600,000 persons go missing in the United States every year in all circumstances. Now, they say about 90% of these people, missing people, are recovered annually, both dead and alive. Okay. It says David Pilates, the author of Missing 411 books, estimate that there are over 1,600 unexplained disappearances in North America. Now, you may say, well, 1,600 doesn't seem like a very large number. Again, these are the numbers that can either be validated by second or third party sources, I'm assuming. But then again, if you check these sources out, they all say that the numbers are much, much higher. Much higher. It is estimated 8 million children are said to go missing each year worldwide. Around 800,000 are from the United States, 40,000 each year in Brazil, 50,500 in Canada, 39,000 in France, 100,000 in Germany, 45,000 in Mexico, and an estimated 230,000 go missing in the United Kingdom every year. Whoa, 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 whoa. I just went through almost five different websites of bullshit, giving us the impression that, well, the numbers, according to the United States government and the FBI, the Department of Justice, and you're going, wait a minute. So now you have tracking IMO.com. It's going, but whoa. Now, you have 800,000 children that go missing in the United States. How the hell is that allocated into the previous statistics that we were just looking at? And now I'm beginning to ask, does anyone really care? What happened to the milk bottle that the missing children and exploited children? What is that now? Some kind of, what is it, passe? Why did we stop that as a society? Why is it that we now have become so numb to a missing child, much less a missing person, to where who gives a fuck? Not impacting me. I mean, I get to do my thing, man. I got my cell phone. I'm doing, yeah. These are individuals. These are people. And now, because everything is collapsing, there's less resources being allocated because the resources that are there are already in so much demand that the last thing the authorities are going to do is to really look, and particularly if you're an adult. Technically, they can't do anything for 24 hours. It's weird. And then I began to look at this thing worldwide. This is, by the way, ICMP.int. They are a global initiative out of, I believe, the UN that also realized that they're, well, I don't know. Yeah, the UN, you have your own opinion on it. But the fact that this is something that they now have a department, a budget, they have people that are in on this, trying to extrapolate the numbers. Yeah. So if we begin to look at this, this is what I call the annuals. This is something that has been going on. Again, when you got bureaucracies that have departments and you got bureaucrats involved, where now you have a budget and you allocate time and bureaucrats don't give a shit. Don't give a shit about anything but themselves. That's why they're bureaucrats. That's why a politician is a politician. You know, I wish we actually had politicians that really cared, but anyway. So this is almost become normal. I'm sure that there's somewhere where they hold an annual conference on the human rights, and, you know, it's part of the PowerPoint presentation. We'll allot 10 minutes to the department, and, you know, and you got someone up there that, you know, he or she's more interested in the cocktail party than actually having to really deal with what's really going on here. Now, we've dealt with this. It cannot be ignored of what the pandemic did. A lot of controversy as to, well, what was the actual number? According to the World Health Organization, they estimate that there have been nearly 15 million deaths related to the pandemic. Now, it's really interesting because the United States, of all places, holds a majority of that count. So the United States is nearing 1 million deaths caused directly. Now, the indirect number is closer to 5 million. So this is by the Washington Post. So what I can't find, and the only correlation, and again, this is the World Health Organization backed up that number by the Washington Post of 14.9 million excess deaths associated, not directly caused by the virus itself, but as a result of the virus. So I began to ask myself again, and oh, by the way, something is going on. Don't know what, but there is a lot of other fireworks taking place, as they would say. But getting back to this number then, if there is, in fact, there have been, I guess the question becomes, you have between 1 and 5 million deaths in the United States. And we can get into the age demographics or not. So could that impact a national economy? Could the subsequent deaths of nearly 1 to 5 million Americans. Now, that is above the natural die-off that every nation has. I mean, you have your die-offs and you have your births. And that's how you know if a population is in decline, like Japan. And sadly enough, now in the United States. So, I mean, could that be what we're seeing here? I don't know. But something doesn't make sense. I remember a couple years ago here that the #1 news story in May was the lack of jobs for the high school seniors and the high schoolers that get summer jobs during the summer. What happened to that? Where is all the youth? The local McDonald's here talked to their manager. She says if we're supposed to have, she says, up to 8 people in a full shift. There were only 3 working there. And this is not anything of any racial or anything else. She said the 3 people working there were Hondurans. So where's the kids? Where are the teenagers? Where are they in getting filling these jobs? I mean, I'm just asking a question. It doesn't make sense. I've lived in the same area for 18 years. I have neighbors I knew when the kids were born when I first moved in here. They graduated. And when I look at in the subdivision at the pool, it's not overflowing with kids. And it's hot. I forgot. So where are the kids? It's weird because you've got restaurants that are shortening hours, in some cases having to close early. Every company around here, I have my LinkedIn profile, and it's amazing how many, and I haven't been in the industry in a while. Truth Seeker says a lot of kids growing up here do not want to work at the fast food joints. Yeah, I can dig that. But then that means that if they're not working, then mom and dad has to be somehow supplementing. I mean, to be a kid today, you can't do what I did on the street when I was 15 in 1970. I mean, it's expensive to be a kid, right? Robert V, that's what I'm asking. Where are the kids? I mean, again, I purposely went by the pool, because I wanted to see, all right, we got 2 of them, and then we have the rec center, expecting to see overflowing crowds. No. Now, I don't know if this still has a residual to, the last couple of years. I don't know. But I can't see why there is this huge demand for workers in all categories, white collar, blue collar, technical, non-technical, service industry. Yet we can't find people to fill the positions. I don't know, folks. Scotty Boy says, I don't like or trust their numbers. I know exactly what you mean. It's it's I don't know. And like I said, that's why the show is, where did they all go? Something's not adding up. The statistics don't jive with this huge demand for workers that are going unfilled. I mean, we have family that's directly in the automotive industry. Something ain't right, folks. I mean, yeah, I mean, I could get into that because that's not making any sense. But you look at the complete supply chain. Truckers. I was looking into that number because this is not making sense. Do you know in the last 6 months, 10,000 truck drivers with their CDLs are no longer driving? 10,000. Anyone who's been on the highway, you know there's been a noticeable difference of not that many tractor trailer rigs. So where are those guys going? I mean, and layoffs are coming right and left. So you got layoffs, yet you have this huge demand for laborers. It doesn't make sense. So is demand here going to be like the absorbent of the layoffs that are taking place right now? Because again, then all we're merely doing is placing one worker into a slot that was not filled prior to this. Again, getting back, then where's all the people? Where are all the people? It doesn't make sense. I don't know. I remember know myself on the Steiger perspective. Yeah. Got all those archived. And it's amazing how prophetic so many of the Steiger perspectives were, huh? I'm trying to drive us into this direction. Now, the thing that I am, let's see. Life is not supposed to be figured out. Bonnie, isn't that the truth? So true. I don't know. It's just bizarre to me. It just doesn't add up. And I can't believe that America is basically, we've become that lazy. I mean, even if a person says they don't want to work, so how are they eating? I mean, how are they paying rent? And, you know, depending in which city, if you live in a major city in America, and I have no doubt it's the same other way, I mean, yeah. And now with gas going to hit $10, I said this on the Steiger perspective a year ago. Yeah, I did. And I told you almost the date it was going to happen. And it's doing exactly the date I told you it was happening. But let me also just tell you this. $10 a gallon gasoline in the United States will kill us. It will throw the United States economy into a full-fledged depression. The working class cannot afford. The statistics say that the average hourly employee, now you can't even make minimum wage and make a living. You can't afford to live. You can't afford to drive. And even at hourly rates now approaching $15 to $20 an hour, still makes it impossible for a person making that wage to drive and eat and live with a roof over their head. All right, so walk with me on this one. So if a person doesn't want to work, they can't get food stamps, they can't get unemployment, they can't get welfare. Where do they go? Are we saying that potentially the homeless crisis in America is at such an epidemic level that if we really knew the true numbers, that this is where the numbers are at, that this is where the people are at? I'm just throwing it out there. Because if you're keeping books, you know, the whole thing of a ledger is that it's supposed to balance. But we don't talk about the numbers. We just use government statistics. And, you know, I can tell you here in Denver, which is the most asinine government I've ever seen. So, you know, their solution, they're going to throw $300 million to study and to adequately house about 3,000 homeless. Well, if I don't know, if I do the math right, if you got 300 million and you've got 3,000 that are needing a home, you can give them a home almost worth $1 million. Wow. Actually, the number comes down to about 250,000. You can buy them a house. But that's what we've done here. So I don't know. It gets deep. And if there's any of you who are really good activists in this, I know Street Mom, love to have you on. So is this, what's really happening then? Is there something so much more darker and nefarious taking place here that no one wants to know about? I don't know. Because it isn't getting any better. It's getting worse. Where I live in Denver, the housing crisis has become, there is a new classification of families. They live in their cars. They're literally called the nomadic homeless. They live in their cars, families. Well, all right. Hey, Courtney. You know, so Courtney, you brought something mind. This is why, you see, the availability of the necessities of life, they haven't gone anywhere. And this is why I study the occult. Because what I see taking place is occultic of its nature, which tells me that if there's a hidden knowledge at work here, it's best that we find out what that hidden knowledge is. Now, it goes down many different roads, but many of us, and I'm speaking to a number of you, we know what's happening here. We can't talk about it. We can certainly give the statistics, because that's what they are, statistics. But they're also people. They're human lives. Okay. John, that's right. When $100 a day was good money and you could spend $50 a day to get to work, yeah. And I got to tell you, it's getting at the point now. I was at the gas pump today, and it's interesting because I was talking to some of the people that were off to work, and I said to one lady, particularly, who was right next to me, and I said, "So how often are you filling up?" And she says, because she drives into Denver and then drives out here to the suburbs. She says, I normally have to fill up, she says, 2 times a week. And I said, what do you mean normally now? She says, well, now, she says, normally my husband would be with me. And so he either drops me off or I drop him off. And she said, look around. And I did. And I know what she had. And $116. Yeah, or a fill up. Yikes. $100 to fill the car. And I was going to finish out the thought. So the break even is $2.50 a gallon. That's the break even here. That a person making an hourly wage at $15 an hour could technically afford. Now, when you get gas going up to $10, and that's where it's headed, it becomes then this necessity now becomes a barrier. You can no longer acquire the necessity of what you need in order to do a living. So what? You quit your job? And there we go. Whoa. All right, folks. Let's see. $15 an hour gets you $2,000 a month. That's right, GT. Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit different subject matter that, normally don't get into, but this bugged me. I mean, we went out and we talked to a lot of people, and something ain't right. Where are the people? I don't really know. Business people, managers, huge struggle. I know, the industry that my wife was in, assisted living and skilled care. Folks, that's a nightmare. It's impacting people's lives. And that's where this is all heading to as well. Well, and remember, check out Southern Prepper One. It's a great channel. He does this program called Boots on the Ground, and it's people like you and I writing in. I mean, for instance, just to give you an example, last year, we got 10 pounds of ice. That 10 pounds of ice cost $1.99. If you wanted to get a 20-pound bag, that was $2.99. They no longer make 10-pound bags of ice, nor 20-pound. The new 10 is now the new 7. So you're getting 7-pound bags of ice that used to be 10 pounds. And guess what? The price has gone up. 20-pound bags. Well, the new is 16 pounds. No longer 20 pounds. It's 16 pounds, and you're paying 49 cents more than what you were at the full price of the 20 pounds. Yeah. Sucks. That's all I got to say. All right, folks. Yeah, I think we're all really getting what's happening here. It sucks. And again, Heidi, much love to you, darling. And I do give Hug a big dancer a big hug all the time. Hey, Paul Joe. Well, it's getting weird. That's all I got to say. And I'm still, I'm going to be interested. I'll go back and look at the chat. And then if you're listening on replay, let me know what you think. Is it happening in your area too? Are there just businesses that can't find people to fill the jobs? And then I want to know, what are these people doing? I mean, I don't know. Lost in Space. Hey, favorite to you, my friend Claire. Weird and sad, Claire. It is. It's bizarre. I mean, my wife and I, as we're traveling back down out of the mountains, we're both talking about this, and the traffic, which normally should have been really much heavier, it was not. Usually we could expect backups, as many of you know, in Floyd's Hill here. Yeah, but no. Mm-mm. Is the Steiger perspective still archiving? I have them. It got a little hot, Belinda, if you can pick up my drift on that. I was advised to step down for a little bit. Yeah. So, but I do have them archived. So, yes, just to let you know. Malanka, good to see you. All righty. Eyes to see. Marie, we got to get you back on, hon. You can go to the store and buy 2 bags with 12 items, and it's $160. Yeah, I know. It is. It's scary. I mean, we know families, and I know I'm going a little bit over on this, that have small children. We have grandchildren. And we're talking, the parents are talking to us. And even the big box stores don't really offer much relief now. I don't know. I mean, to have young'uns, you know, when I talk about young children below the age of 10, and if you got teenagers, holy crap, I hope you win the lottery, right? Because we know of a couple that have 3 young adolescents, teenagers, and whoa. So, all right, folks. Scotty boy, those roller skates might, who would have thought, right? Who'd have thought? I mean, you know, I wish I hadn't given up my skateboard, but I don't know if it would have even been feasible. All right, everybody, much love to you. Tune in tomorrow. Got Miss Trina. I'm going to talk about the birth certificate because there's some interesting developments happening in that arena. So, all right, thank you. Appreciate it. I never take this as just, you know, every day. This is special. I mean, to get to meet each day, that's a gift. And our egregore gift, that's what gifts give, you know? Go inside for truth. Oh, yeah, baby. Got some t-shirts coming on that one. All right, folks. See y'all tomorrow. All right. Have a great